In the research and planning stages of my main task, I use the internet to research real regional magazines. I analysed pages from these magazines and recorded my findings using Prezi.com. This allowed me to create presentations to display my research. I used the website SurveyMonkey to conduct my audience research. This website enabled me to create a survey which I posted online to Facebook to obtain results. This was very useful as a starting point for my magazine, as it allowed me to find out what my target audience wanted so that I could work on providing it for them when I made the magazine. This meant that they would be more likely to read it if it was successful in meeting their needs and wants. I also used YouTube to research radio adverts. I analysed their codes and conventions and embedded them in my blog. I used a DSLR camera to take photos for my magazine. I chose to borrow one from college because they resemble professional cameras used by real photographers, and I was keen to make sure that my magazine reflected professional practice. Using a DSLR was very useful when taking photos of fireworks because I could adjust the settings such as the ISO value and shutter speed to enable me to take clearer photos of fireworks. Using the DSLR took a lot of practice since I had to visit 2 firework displays before I could take high quality photographs. However, I am glad that I persisted with using the camera as I believe that the end result was worth it. In the planning stages, I used Photoshop to create a mock-up of my front cover. I used the website dafont.com to select a masthead font that suited the name and style of the magazine. Using Photoshop allowed me to design the initial layout of the front cover by arranging cover lines and images and experimenting with colour schemes. I also used InDesign to create a mock-up of my contents page. This also allowed me to create columns and boxes for the inset images. I used the placeholder text tool to see what the page would look like once I had written the copy. I also experimented with colours and fonts for the page numbers and stories. In the production stage of my magazine, I used Photoshop to build on my mock front cover and InDesign to build on my mock contents page and to create my double page spread. Photoshop was very useful for editing photos to be used in the magazine. It also allowed me to layer images and text to create a banner, insert inset images and a barcode. Once I had decided on my tagline and cover lines, I could easily move them around on Photoshop until I was happy with the positioning. Using InDesign, I typed my copy into the columns I had created in the mock-up and inserted my photos into the boxes. For my double page spread, I recorded the production of it on InDesign using QuickTime screen recording and then uploaded it to YouTube to embed into my blog. This made it easier to show each step of the production process. For my radio advert, I used a voice recorder to record my script. I used Photoshop to construct my billboard since it allowed me to layer images and position text to create the effect that I wanted. During the post-production of my magazine pages, I used Photoshop and InDesign to continuously make changes based on audience feedback. Using these new media technologies allowed me to edit my pages quickly and easily. During the post-production stages, I frequently uploaded images of my pages to Facebook to obtain audience feedback on my progression. This was useful since it allowed me to connect with a greater amount of people and take their ideas into account to improve the magazine. For my radio advert, I used Final Cut Pro to edit my voice recording, and I used the website freesounds.com to add a sound effect to the advert. I used a background jingle from the selection of pre-installed music on Final Cut Pro. Overall, The use of new media technology has allowed me to be more creative in the production of my final products. During my research, Prezi provided me with a more creative method of displaying my research and analysis. During the production stages, Photoshop was useful in making my front cover and billboard and allowed me to be creative in my layout choices and photo editing. InDesign was useful for my double page spread and contents page and also allowed me to create interesting layouts and page designs. In the post-production of my radio advert, Final Cut Pro allowed me to be creative through adding music and sound effects to my advert. Photoshop was useful in the post-production of my cover and billboard since I could add effects to the text to make it stand out.